When it comes to political lingo, there are certain terms that are very Quebecois. So as the year wraps up, we decided to take a look back at a couple of expressions that made an impression in 2025. Fling, flang and brownies.
Tout peut basculer en quelques jours ou quelques semaines.
Quebec politics, always full of surprises.
It's gonna browse.
Est-ce qu'elle vous a parlé de fling flang?
Oui, elle a dit quelque chose comme ça, fling flang.
Par ailleurs, Pablo Rodriguez a confirmé que lorsqu'il a rencontré Marois Risky, elle aurait évoqué du fling flang.
Un fling flang libéral à Ottawa.
Je veux juste revenir sur la question du fling flang, s'il vous plaît, parce que j'ai été clair là-dessus aussi.
Now, you may not have heard the term before the latest political scandals, but fling flang isn't new.
No fling flang with that.
Quebec politicians have been saying it for years, although you won't hear it during question period at the National Assembly anymore.
Le début d'une nouvelle aventure.
That's because the term was banned from the legislature by Speaker Jacques Chagnon back in 2012. Like more than 400 other words and expressions, it's considered unparliamentary language.
Hello.
But at news conferences, the term fling flang flows freely. We did a deep dive into the archives, and here's just some of what we found.
Nous autres, les députés, on s'occupe du financement dans nos comtés. Et moi, ce que je peux vous dire, c'est que dans le mien, il n'y a pas de fling-flang.
Il y a eu quand même un fling-flang là-dedans, hein, dans ce dossier-là, au départ. Là.
C'est insultant, c'est révoltant. Encore une fois, c'est un autre fling-flang.
Elle est quand même présidente du Conseil du Trésor et elle a fait du fling-flang avec les places à 7 $.
Puis, comme par hasard, ça parle de ça au CA en septembre, puis on dit oh, il y a un risque médiatique et politique élevé. Ils ont décidé de faire du fling-flang.
Fast forward to the final months of 2025, divided by a controversy, with both paying a steep political price. Marois Risky and Pablo Rodriguez haven't been seen together in weeks. But back in October, they were side by side, united in their criticism of the CAQ.
Désolé, là, mais on est en train de faire un fling-flang.
So where does the term fling-flang come from? We decided to ask a language expert.
Thanks to the good people from Bibliothèque et Archives Nationales du Québec, I've decided to look up, the instances in which fling-flang has been used. But then I faced right away a conundrum. How do you spell this? There are different ways to spell it. I mean, it could be just one word, fling-flang altogether. It could be fling-flang with an hyphen or without an hyphen. It could be fling and G or fling G and E.
While there's no clear consensus, according to Benoit Mélenchon, one spelling appears to be more popular.
Fling with a G seems to be leading the pack, 5-1 to the other spelling. But see, since it's not in any dictionary, your spelling is as good as mine. So, and this complicates things when you look up the word. Obviously, the most clear etymology of the word would lead back to English, to flim-flam. Flim-flam meaning exactly the same thing. So it's the same word, but pronounced differently.
But what exactly does it mean?
In French, malversation works. In English, I don't know exactly what I would use, but we're dealing with something that is not very clear. It's something maybe illegal. We don't know if it is. So it's not a crime. So we couldn't use crime as an equivalent. It's something that is not supposed to happen, that has happened, it seems, but nobody knows exactly what it is.
Here's how political analyst Turmoil described it in a recent TV appearance.
That there were shenanigans. They used the French word, which is actually a bit of a borrow from English, of les fling flang, basically saying, okay, there was some stuff that was simply not kosher around his leadership campaign.
And what about brownies? Well, when it comes to Quebec politics, they're not what you think.
C'est quoi un brownie?
J'ai aucune idée.
Le ministre Robert va déposer vendredi un projet de loi concernant, pour corriger une erreur là, concernant les brownies.
Quand on a vu les allégations de ce qui s'était passé au Parti libéral, les fameux brownies du Parti libéral du Québec, c'est sûr qu'il fallait agir pour ça.
Once again, we asked our expert to explain.
Un brun is very common in French. I mean, I would never use a brownie, but I know what a brun is.
Un brun refers to the color of a $100 bill.
I don't think that it has such a long history. The fling flang has a long history. It's more than 100 years old now. I wouldn't say the same thing for brownie. And people have used brownies over the last weeks, but not as often as fling flang.
Just a taste of the unique expressions that give Quebec politics a certain je ne sais quoi you won't find anywhere else. Sorry.
Oh
Yes.
my. This is such a great report. Wow, amazing. But good job, good job.
Oh, thank you.
Actually,
I
always
appreciate it.
thought fling flang. I always thought fling flang was an English word, Maya, believe it or not.
Well, this is why we wanted to do a deep dive into the word, because it seemed there was no real consensus as to whether it was English or French or what it means. So one thing I think we should clear up right off the bat is there's no relation between you and Benoit Mélenchon, the language expert.
You have two Mélenchons for the price of one tonight. Lucky you.
All right, so we wanted to look back at the year in politics, Raphael, but so much happened in December alone that we have more than enough material just with the past month in politics. So clearly, as we could see, the Liberals had a very rough end to the year. And yes, you know, we laugh, we joke, we make light of the term fling flang because everybody, for some reason, seems to find it funny and says it with a bit of a smirk. But very serious allegations. It wasn't exactly a walk in the park, though, for the other parties. Let's start with the CAQ, losing yet another cabinet minister and member of his caucus, Premier François Legault, after Christian Dubé called it quits this month.
And it's not just any cabinet minister, Maya. It's one of the pillars of that party, someone who came with François Legault in 2018 when he was first elected in government as a pillar of the CQ, of the dream team that François Legault had built that year to finally gain power. You know, he was unsuccessful in 2012, unsuccessful in 2014, and then in 2018, he came up with that team. There was Pierre Fitzgibbon, no longer there anymore. Lionel Carman, highly recognized neuropediatrician, no longer there anymore. He left also just a few weeks ago. And then you have Christian Dubé, the former health minister, leaving not only his office as minister, but also leaving the CQ's caucus. So it's really a slap in the face for François Legault, who really need to turn things around this fall in order to stand a chance at maybe beginning a new year with a fresh, something like a revamped CAQ. And sadly, with everything that happened this fall, Bill 2, the controversy with doctors, the major feud, major fight on the public stage, it's really, it was a catastrophic, I would say, a nightmare of a season for François Legault, who's beginning the new year. And still, we have made many questions. Is he still going to be leading the CQ into the next election in just a few months?
Well, I was going to ask if you're willing to make any political predictions for 2026. Any thoughts on whether he'll still be the leader of the CAQ for the next election? What do you think?
Well, honestly, I think François Legault right now is pretty much at the same place as Justin Trudeau was just a year ago. He's finished, but he doesn't acknowledge it yet. His party knows he's finished, and at some point the decision is going to, the question is going to be either is François Legault going to resign by himself, or is he going to be, as we say in French, se faire démissionner, so get resigned by his own party, basically showing him the way out, because in the end, you have more than 80 MNAs right now within the CAQ caucus that are at risk of losing their seat in the next election. The whole party could be completely wiped out from the electoral map, as the most recent predictions show at the moment. And at some point, there's someone within that party who's going to raise his hand and say publicly, well, I'm sorry, but the premier has to leave. So if François Legault doesn't decide to resign by himself, I feel that at some point, and it could be as soon as within the next few weeks or months, somebody's going to push him off the cliff, because if they want to hold a leadership race and replace François Legault in time for the next election, this has to happen at least to the latest by the spring.
Okay. Well, we've had time to talk about the government. We've had time to talk about the main opposition party, the Liberals. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time to get to the PQ and Quebec Solidaire. They also have had some issues of their own this year, but we'll have plenty of time to talk about them all, much more in 2026, which will be an election year, and that's going to be a very interesting time for us, Raphael, isn't it?
Very exciting. Also, the Liberals are going to have a new leader very, very soon, so the whole landscape could change quite quickly. We'll be there to analyze it in 2026. See you soon, Maya.
Thank you, Raphael. We appreciate it as always. See you in 2026. All the best.